Hey everyone, welcome to Hike California. This weekend I'm headed out to Joshua Tree National Park for a photography excursion, but guess what? It turns out it's going to be the hottest weekend of the year, so let's see how this goes. When I planned this trip, it was actually back in February. I was expecting a cooler spring, milder temperatures. Last year, Joshua Tree didn't actually hit triple digits until late June into July. This year, as she so often does, Mother Nature had different plans. So I checked the weather and I saw an excessive heat warning. So I decided I was going to scale back my plans. My initial goal had been to spend the entire time in the park, hiking, doing these longer trails, just getting some time on trail. But after looking at the heat warning and everything, I decided what I would do is just scale it back and focus on sunrise, sunset, late afternoons, and then night photography. So I'd get a little more time in the hotel and a little more time in town. So despite the heat, I'm pretty excited. It's a new moon on Thursday, so I expect the weekend I'll have really good clear skies for astrophotography. There is a catch. That catch is that I'm not actually a photographer. What I mean is, at the beginning of the year, I told myself I needed to learn how to use the DSLR that someone gave to me as a gift a few years ago, because I really have not done much with it. And so this year I've been working on learning photography with some questionable progress, but I like doing it. I like that I'm not particularly good at it. It's a nice challenge. And like a lot of things, the only way to get better at it is to do it. So I thought it would be a good chance to get outside and shoot. And I knew I wanted to spend a full day on Saturday. So I decided the best thing to do would be to drive up Friday morning, finish my work day there in Joshua Tree, go into the park, get some sunset photos at Keys View. I've actually never been to Keys View. I have never seen a sunrise there. I'd never seen a sunset there. I've been into Joshua Tree 5 or 6 times, and, Keys View is kind of far from everything, and I just never really went down into that area. So I decided I would do that. I would shoot the sunset there. That was an interesting experience, just because it's popular. And even though it's hot and there were not a lot of people in the park, as far as like normal park visitation, it was still a lot of people, and a lot of them show up right at sunset. So I had gotten there and sort of staked out a spot and knew what I wanted to shoot, set up my tripod and everything, but then people are arriving and they kind of get in your shot. So I think if I were to do it again, I know what I would do differently. I would just start on the side of that. I wouldn't look for the best frame or the best composition. I would get as close to the drop off as I can and then set up and figure out a composition from there. It's not what I did. I like some of the shots that I got, though. I thought that a lot of them were pretty interesting. There's one in particular I really liked, which I'll show on the screen here. So then I left the park and had dinner and went to the hotel. Got a bit of a late, sleep. Woke up bright and early, 4 a.m., headed into Cholla Cactus Gardens. Now, this was particularly annoying because my Google Maps made me keep going to the west entrance, the one in Joshua Tree, the one that you access from Joshua Tree, the town of Joshua Tree. I was staying in 29 Palms, and I should have taken the north entrance especially to get to the stuff on the east side of the park, which is, Cholla Cactus Garden, which is where I wanted to shoot the sunrise on Saturday. But it sent me through Joshua Tree, and I assumed, because I have second guessed Google Maps before and only find out that a road is closed and something is inaccessible. It turns out that was not actually the case. I drove all the way over to Joshua Tree and then back essentially just below 29 Palms a number of times, which is annoying, but I did. So I drove to Cholla Cactus Gardens. I was not happy with my sunrise photos there. I got there a little late. Even though I left as early as I could, I got there a little late and missed some of the best light. I also was not really sure. I'd never shot a sunrise photo before, so I was not 100% sure how I wanted to use the light. If I wanted to shoot towards or away from the sun. I've learned a lot. I think I learned a lot in this trip. I'll talk more about the second sunrise a little bit later. But yeah, in general, I feel like I got one or two shots that I liked. I would love to have a second chance at Troy Cactus Garden, and I will. But I think might go later in the year when the sun is rising later, not wake up at 4 a.m. and drive there, especially going into the wrong entrance, having to traverse the entire park to get there. Not ideal. Also, Troy Cactus Garden, very popular at sunrise. Wasn't too bad. I didn't actually have any problems. I didn't have any problems with composition there. I got what I wanted to get outside of like missing the good light and just not really setting up a composition I liked a lot and just sort of scrambling and getting something that worked. So then I decided I would stay in the park a little bit and scout out a location. I knew where I wanted to shoot sunset. I knew I wanted to shoot sunset at Intersection Rock. But what I didn't want to do is spend a lot of time looking for my composition. Because Intersection Rock, again, I had never actually been to because there's not much really to do there. Like usually when I'm in Joshua Tree, it's for hiking, and there may be a trailhead there, but I'm not familiar with it if there is. So I just wanted to get there and kind of scope it out. And I did. So I went straight there and I kind of scoped that out and saw a composition I liked and sort of put it in my mind. And then I was in the park already. So I decided I would do the Hall of Horrors. And I went and I hiked the little Hall of Horrors hike. And I knew I wanted to take photos, but I hadn't really seen anything that I loved. I mean, Hall of Horrors is really more for climbers than for hikers. I just didn't really see something I really loved. But then I caught this cloud or like hair trail. What do they call those? Contrail, whatever those are called. Chemtrail. But I caught one and I really thought it looked funny. There was a tree nearby and I thought it looked like maybe a bit like it was like smoking, like it was on fire. And so I experimented with a couple of compositions. I found one that I really liked. I'll put on the screen now. So I liked that. And then I went back to the hotel and came back into the park around sunset. Got set up for Intersection Rock. And again, some people moved into my composition. This was not a big deal because I was able to just like frame them out, put them behind a tree. Didn't bother me at all. And listen, people are going to get in your composition. Like it's a free park. They're allowed to be there too. It's not a free park, but they're allowed to be there too. So this is not me saying, oh, how dare they? It's a reality of it. But I actually thought these two girls were really kind of cool. So I actually pulled out the telephoto lens and snapped some photos of them because I thought they were kind of a vibe. I didn't realize at the time that they were smoking pot. So sorry that I'm sort of tattling on you, but I don't think anyone watches this. And if you do, they weren't smoking. They were just holding it. And then they left actually before sunset. I think it was just too windy. It was pretty windy. And so I got the shot that I wanted anyway. I was able to reframe my composition and get what I had scouted out earlier that morning, which is on the screen now. Then I went into town, into Joshua Tree for dinner. I ate at the JT Saloon, first time eating there. Live music. There was a live band playing. That was a vibe. That was a really cool time. Spent some time there, and then I went back into the park. Now, there was not much moon. As I mentioned, there was a new moon on Thursday, so this is 2 days into the new moon. Pretty dark. I go into the parking lot. I feel bad because like people are there looking at the Milky Way, and here I come with my radio blaring and my lights on. I mean, I wasn't the only one. But anyway, I got out, and I decided that I wanted to hike to Arch Rock. And I didn't bring a headlamp. Mea culpa. I just didn't think about it. I did think about it. It was in my to-do list. I just didn't do it. But, so I hiked. I used the flashlight on my phone. It's fine. Meh. Not ideal. Don't do that if you don't have to. But it did. And I had never done like long exposures before. Any sort of like astral photography. Nothing like that. No nighttime photography. Nothing like that. So I knew this was going to be a big learning experience. So I hiked to Arch Rock, and because I'm carrying I've got my camera in a bag, and I've got a tripod, and I've got my phone in my hand. Otherwise, I can't see. And there's a shelf, like a rock that there's like 5 other photographers set up on, and I'm on a lower rock with a really steep angle looking up at Arch Rock, and I wanted to get to where they were, but I couldn't. I didn't want to. It was a very difficult rock scramble in the dark with my hands full and everything. I didn't want to risk breaking my camera or anything. So I kind of stayed where I was. The composition was okay. It was not ideal, but I thought about, after I got some shots, about moving over there, but there was just some real drama happening, because up on top of the rock that faces Arch Rock, so they were on the shelf here. I was like down here. They were on the shelf here, and then there's like a higher rock. And there was someone up there with a blue light, like a long light bar. Like they were clearly doing some sort of like specialized photography, some sort of like unique something or other. But these other 5 people are doing like long exposures, right? So if you turn on that blue light for half a second, their photo is blue. And it got a little chippy. They were like, can you wait? And the guy with the blue light, the guys, one was holding the light, one was taking the photos. And they're like, how long do you need? And they're like, well, just give us 2 minutes. And so then like literally exactly 2 minutes later, they're like, turn on the blue light. It's like, come on. And then so these people are getting chippy. One of them's like, can you have some ethics? Which I thought was just a really funny thing to say. And the guy up top is like, I'm taking my photos, you're taking your photos, and that's true. However, your photos literally disrupt their photos. I think it's fine. I think everyone's allowed to do whatever they want. I think, patience is a virtue, and if someone is there with blue light, you wait. I didn't want to wait. I'd gotten some photos. I actually felt really happy with 1 or 2 of them, so I just decided to get away from the aggro environment and just relocate. So I moved over to like some other rocks, and as I was sort of taking those, some younger, some 20-something people showed up, and they're like, are you shooting here? Are you shooting photography here? Are you photographs here? And after the scene at the last place, I just wanted to be like, I was just like, yeah, but you can be here too. Like, it's okay. Well, little did I know that they would be like shining flashlights on the rocks, and got a little hard, but I did get some exposures I liked. What was tricky though is I had to edit out because I could see like their LED screens, the backs of their cameras, because they were set up much closer to the rocks than I was. It's okay, but I did have to edit those out. I was thinking, and they had like a red headlamp. Like I had to just edit out like a lot of extraneous lights. It's just interesting to think about. I never really thought about it, because I don't do photography, so it's something. I think if I went again, like I guess if you go in the purpose is night photography, that's cool. I'll probably get a later start too, because I went back into the park after dinner. It was maybe, I'm trying to remember, I think the sunsets were at 8:55, and then I got back into the park around 10:30 or 11. So I'd probably wait until like 1 or 2, let the scene calm down a bit, which I think it would do. Also, maybe it would be busier. But I got some photos I liked, and then I headed back to the hotel, got 2 or 3 hours of sleep before I was back up at 4 a.m. I went over to, so this is my sunrise. My sunrises were not great. So I went to Jumbo Rocks because I really thought I had seen some photos of, they call it, what do they call it? They call it, I forget what they call it. This like monolith and juniper or something like that. And I was really excited to shoot that. But what I didn't think about was the Jumbo Rocks is obviously a campground. And what I didn't think about was that to access the photo spot that I had in mind, I would have to go through someone's campsite. I was not going to do that. And then I was able to, like, there was an empty one, and I got up on the rock, but I couldn't, it was dark, and I didn't want to sort of figure out a way to, like, I just wanted to, like, I was losing time. I just decided I would just go look for an alternate composition. And so I hiked a little bit and I found something that I really liked, sort of a towering sort of a rock, and the sun was rising behind it. I thought, well, that would be really dramatic. I didn't think about, again, with the sunrise, I haven't figured out, do I shoot towards or away from the sun? The Cholla cactus garden, I actually shot towards the sun. But this time I found shooting away from the sun would have been better, I think, because the entire rock face was backlit. So it's not, I don't think I got any really good shots there, but sort of the last minute I turned to my right and I saw, these three sort of rocks, and the light was really nice. And I got off a photo that was, I wish that I had gotten 20 minutes earlier. Like, I wish that had been my composition. I could have really tightened that composition, but also I could have just gotten the light better. Because I did miss like premium, like sunrise light, but not bad. And then I kind of tooled around in town a little bit and headed home. So that was my trip. That was Joshua Tree National Park on the hottest weekend so far in 2024. Hope you had a good time. I sure did. Let's do this again sometime.